It's been a while since I've noticed a pattern starting to emerge, as I have had my fair share of online interactions. More specifically within the furry fandom, I've started to realize that we're navigating a very different social landscape than we used to when I first joined the fandom. Oh, hey! How's it going, everyone? This is Xylee the Fox, and welcome to a brand new video. Alright, I've got a bit of a hot take today. You see, this is a general observation, but it's something that has been weighing on me for quite a while, I dare say. And I thought, hey, why not sitting down to finally get this off my chest and share it in a video? Well, I don't know if this happened to you, but it's been in the last years that I've noticed the rise of a certain kind of individualism in the furry community. Alright, individualism? Yeah, that's a big word nowadays. But think about it in the following way. I have my ears in this fandom, more than a decade if you already know me. And I like to think of the people in my age brackets, you know, those of us in our 30s, as the bridge generation of the furry fandom. It's like the Xennials before us.
A unique feature of the furry fandom community is its ability to share stories, artwork, and ideas online over the computer internet.
Who grew up in a world that was just beginning to get digital and had to adapt to the new world. We, as that bridge generation, have to adapt to this new way of socializing in the furry fandom. In other words, what I mean is that I used to remember a friendlier quote-unquote fandom which would move a bit slower than this crazy internet capsule that drives us around crazily, you know? If you're new, you might be already used to what the fandom is online. But from my perspective, kinda from my life pace that moves a little slower, I see a completely different picture. Here I can see that there's a tendency, at least in the furry community, which is driven by FOMO, you know, the fear of missing out. Well, along with a reduced tolerance for anything that isn't instant gratification and an almost clinical level of individualism. You know, these three things combined, I believe, can create a recipe for social chaos. Now, this social chaos can easily be represented by what I like to call the crap buckets. It's like a metaphor I've been thinking of, which can be used in this kind of context. This metaphor I've thought of aims to illustrate a typical human behavior which is not necessarily exclusive to the furry fandom, but which can be seen amongst furries anyhow. Take the recent, for example, Thailand Airbnb video which a group of furries posted some weeks ago. For example, I loved it. The angles of the camera were perfect and they wanted to just share a meaningful memory together as a group of friends. I would have done the same. Yet, some other people reacted with such a vitriol like, wow, these elitist furries this, these elitist furries that, oh, whoa. And guys, as if the typical furry wouldn't spend thousands at conventions every year. Come on. It was this that made me realize how much we've become a bucket of crabs, if you know what I mean. This metaphor works as follows. Everyone is fine as long as we're all at the same level inside the bucket. But the moment someone starts stepping higher, you know, or does something different, the rest of the bucket tries to pull them back down. You know, I love using this theory when I debate on politics and especially on how social groups work. Often thinking about, you know, a broader social context, but when it hits your friend group, it becomes kind of a personal metaphor. As I was saying, this is just the surface level. The real problem, and by real I mean the one that actually ruins lives in my opinion and ends friendships, happens behind the scenes in our private social groups. It happens when the quote-unquote group becomes more important than the quote-unquote friend. It happens when someone you trust chooses to bring a person who hurt you back in your life just out of pure selfishness. And if you don't know what I mean, let me explain. Alright, you know, furries and past drama. Yeah, we've all been there. But it is how your friends react and help you navigate the drama that matters most. You have an inner circle, let's say. These are the people who saw the times you cried and saw who made you cry too. They saw the damage a certain person did to you, and by extension they know the history behind it. It all seems like a safe space to you. Your friends took care of you and they helped you move forward. But then, and here is when things get, you know, a little bit wrong, then one day you see it. A photo posted online that you certainly did not expect. Oh my darling, I'm so sorry for you, but your close friend is hanging out with a person who harmed you. Dude, this is so typical nowadays. Alright, what's the most logical way to face this situation, I ask you? What I would do is go, approach them, and address my concern. This is clearly not a tantrum, mind you, or a dramatic scene. I truly believe that in these cases, you are genuinely worried about your emotional safety. I mean, I wouldn't trust someone who hurts a friend of mine in the past, and then, when you go and ask them, hey, what's going on, you get the killer phrase. Oh, what's this killer phrase about?
Well, they didn't do anything to me. Oh boy, yeah. Were you expecting that?
I was. The reality is that when you get that phrase, at least for me, that's it. They were not that much into you, let me tell you. That phrase is a foundation cracker, period. When I hear that, it's like checkmate. It's the sound of a friendship falling apart like in real time. But why? Oh, you dare ask why? Am I being dramatic? Why you say that? Well, because that phrase means that the game is over and that the rules of the friendship have just changed without your consent. Thus illustrates and embodies those three modern values that I mentioned before. But let me analyze them carefully for you. Firstly, when a friend uses this killer phrase with you, they are being intolerant of the history you have with that person. It means that technically, only the now matters. It dismisses your past trauma as irrelevant to their present fun, like in simpler words. Secondly, this phrase is, at least for me, driven by FOMO. Your friend doesn't want to lose access to a new social group or a quote-unquote cooler person, so they sacrifice your comfort just to keep their options open. And lastly, and this is the peak individualism I would say, what I mean is, listen to the phrase again. They didn't do anything to me. Where's the you in that phrase? Well, spoiler alert, you've been completely erased from the question, I'm sorry to say that. So what happens after that phrase comes up? At least for me? Well, I don't want to sound sensationalist or dramatic, but when a friend says this to you, the only way forward is just your friendship slowly dying out. It's really sad to say, but trust is a gift that not many tend to value. Trust doesn't usually die in an explosion, but rather it erodes slowly, which makes it even more difficult to grasp sometimes. It's like, water dripping on a stone. Once trust is broken, you stop seeing that particular friend as the person you can trust like 100%. This gradually starts vanishing. First, you stop sharing things with them because, why would you tell them your secrets or be open to them like you used to if they've shown that their loyalty is conditional? You start to realize that your safety is a negotiable factor for them at the end of the day. Then comes the gradual detachment, as I would like to call it. This means that you start falling out. And the next stop in this train is, well, basically you and your friend are not being friends anymore, I guess. Gradual detachment works as adulthood responsibilities. You stop doing something and you move to something else. In line with friendship, you stop inviting them to do things with you. At least in my case, I also stopped checking their feed, but this is not a toxic behavior whatsoever. I would like to say that it's a way of, self-preservation. So you see, when you're afraid of being hurt, and on top of that, the people you trust are not in your line of defense anymore, you will naturally get away from that danger zone. And here I'm talking about my personal experience. And let me tell you, because of that, it's valid. Your feelings are valid. You're not being petty or dramatic. You are realizing that this person is a fair weather ally, so to say. And why do I say that? Well, because they are with you only when it's easy. But the moment it's socially inconvenient to stand by you, they'll naturally choose the new person because, that person hasn't burned them yet. And inevitably, this creates like a vacuum in the relationship. You realize that while you were practicing loyalty with this friend, well, they were just basically practicing networking. And it's awful to say that, but it's the sad reality. This is very sad, and believe me, I've lived through that many times in the past. And it's because of that I would like to leave you with a thought, especially for those who are on the other side of this. If you're the person saying, but they didn't do anything to me, I want to, look at you and I want you to ask you, can you just check out the math that you're doing? Because when you choose to include someone who has a proven track record of hurting your friends, and you deliberately decide to be in good terms with both parties, not to be involved in drama, well, let me tell you that you are not being neutral or objective. You are making a choice there. You're saying that your friend's lived experience is less valuable than your curiosity about a stranger. But here's the bigger question. I would like you to reflect on the following. What makes you think you're the exception? If someone is capable of being cruel, manipulative, or harmful to a friend of yours, someone that, you know, you supposedly care about, what makes you think you have like a special shield against a possible attack on you? You are letting a wolf basically into the house because the wolf hasn't bitten you yet. But the wolf is still a wolf, and I'm so sorry for wolf personas here, not trying to set an example on you guys, but you know, yeah. What I mean is that by dismissing your friend's pain, you're just hurting your friend. You're lowering your standards for the kind of person that you're allowing in your life. In most straightforward words, you're trading a deep, loyal connection for a shallow, risky one, which only gives you more fun times. But a deeper connection, well, that unfortunately, that's sold separately. So what I mean is that, in conclusion, relationships aren't just about what happens to me. They are about what happens to us. If we lose that, if we become so self-centered that we can't stand in solidarity with the people we claim to love, then it's genuine to ask, what is the point of a community at all? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever heard this phrase? How did it change your friendship if that happens to you? Let me know in the comments, because my experience with this was a bit sad. But other than that, I hope that this video helped you reflect a little more on your social practices, and remember that a friendship will always be more important than any other shiny, cool possibility of having like a bigger social group. Don't practice networking. Be a good friend. So I hope to see you all in the next one, and take good care of yourselves, everyone. Meow.